Alright, everybody, we're going to keep the fun and games rolling in our Thanksgiving Day special, in which we're going to play some PC games, starting with Jeopardy! So let's see how it goes. Off to the test.
Welcome to Jeopardy! Let's begin our game.
Alright. I'm not going to be her, obviously. I'll be him. And I'll use the enter key to buzz in. Computer player and Beanie. Computer player Beanie. It's an all-guys game. Alright.
My name is Vince Thompson. I'm a high school English teacher from Massachusetts, and during the weekends my wife and I like to direct a local drama club. In fact, right now we're rehearsing Twelfth Night.
Hello, I'm Richard Marston. I make my living as an actuary for an insurance firm, but my real love is art, especially Renaissance sculpture.
Here we go.
Now for the Jeopardy round, in which one daily double will appear
Miscellaneous.
somewhere on the board.
Films.
Here are the categories.
Slogans and mottos. Music. Big business. And finally, we'll close it out with world cities. Alright.
Good luck. Contestant number 1 will start with you.
Big business 100.
The answer is
Okay. A tower topped by a giant pineapple stands atop this company's Cannery Square.
contestant number 1.
What is Dole? Yeah, I got it.
You are correct.
Big business 200.
Contestant number 1.
Based in Paris, this company is a world leader in disposable razors and cigarette lighters.
Contestant number 1.
What is Beak?
Yes,
Alright.
that's correct. Contestant number 1.
Capital Cities ABC owns 80% of this sports cable TV network.
Contestant number 1.
What is ESPN? Got it again.
Yes, select.
Big business 400.
Contestant number 1.
Pig parts featured in the commodities market.
Contestant number 2.
Nope.
Wrong. Contestant number 3.
Nope.
Oh, sorry. That's not right.
Gosh. Don't know this one, so I'm not gonna buzz in. Oh, pork bellies.
Contestant number 1.
Daily double.
Contestant number 1. What would you like to wager?
400.
Let's take a look at the answer.
This mail order firm has retail stores only in Freeport, Maine, and Japan. I'm going to say what is LL Bean.
You are correct.
All right.
Contestant number 1.
Films 100. This Taylor and Burton epic was over 4 hours long when first released in 1963.
Contestant number 1.
What is Cleopatra?
You are correct. Contestant number 1.
Jack Lemmon played Felix Ungar, and he played Oscar Madison in the film version of The Odd Couple.
Contestant number 1.
Who is Walter Matthau?
You are correct. Contestant number 1.
Later to star in The 7-Year Itch, she had a bit part in the Marx Brothers' Love Happy.
Contestant number 1.
Who is Marilyn Monroe?
You are correct. Contestant number 1.
This Americanization of Kurosawa's The Seven Samurai starred Yul Brynner and Steve McQueen.
Contestant number 1.
What is The Magnificent Seven?
You are contestant number 1.
Alan Ladd played the title character in the 1949 version of this F. Scott Fitzgerald novel.
Contestant number 2.
The Great Gatsby, I knew that one.
Yes,
Too late.
that's correct. Contestant number 2.
Okay. This Latin motto on the presidential seal and on U.S. coins is from a poem attributed to Virgil.
Contestant number
What
1.
is E pluribus unum?
Yes, That's contestant number 1.
A well-known civil rights slogan was "One man, one this."
Contestant number 1.
What is Army?
Sorry,
No.
that's incorrect. Contestant number 2.
Vote? One man, one vote. Oh,
You
okay.
are correct. Contestant number
I
2.
wasn't sure. Japan's most important kabuki theater is in this famous section of Tokyo.
Contestant number 1.
What is the Ginza district? Yeah.
Yes, that's correct.
World Cities 100.
Contestant number 1.
Pest, Abuda, and Buda were combined in 1873 to make this capital city.
Contestant number 3.
Budapest, yep, in Hungary.
You are correct.
Oh, wow.
Contestant number 3.
Okay. This Haitian capital is at the southeastern end of the Gulf of Gonavi, however you say it.
Contestant number 1.
What is Port-au-Prince?
You are correct. Contestant number 1.
On December 23rd, 1972, an earthquake almost completely destroyed this Nicaraguan capital.
Contestant number 1.
What is Managua?
You are correct. Contestant number 1.
A bust of General Macaulay stands near the Nuts Museum in this town he defended during World War II.
Contestant number 1.
What is, Berlin?
Sorry, incorrect. Contestant number 2.
Is it a German city?
You are correct.
Gaston.
Contestant number
Alright.
2.
Associated with Southern Asia, these seasonal winds also occur in North America.
Contestant number 1.
What are monsoons?
You are correct. Contestant number 1.
He surprised Democratic leaders at a dinner on March 29, 1952, saying he would not seek re-election.
Contestant number 1.
Who is Harry Truman?
You are correct. Contestant number 1.
The Junkers J-1 and Fokker D-7 were planes built by this country during World War I.
Contestant number 1.
What is Sweden?
I'm sorry.
No,
That's wrong.
not Sweden.
Contestant number 2.
Germany?
You are correct.
Germany.
Contestant number 2.
Okay. Manderley burns to the ground at the climax of this film, Hitchcock's first in America.
Contestant number 2.
Rebecca?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's correct. Contestant number 2.
Alright. This flavor comes with a combination of coffee and chocolate.
Contestant number
Beach
3.
Blizzard. Mocha. Yep.
You are correct. Contestant number 3.
Mother Jones, a labor activist and agitator for coal miners' rights, used the slogan, "Join this, boys."
Contestant number 3.
The Union? Yep.
Right. Contestant number 3.
Okay. A motto of the U.S. Air Force Academy is commitment to this.
Contestant number 3.
Excellence?
Yes, that's correct. Contestant number 3. Let's take a look at the answer.
Alright. This state adopted North to the Future in 1967 after it was suggested by a local newspaperman.
Contestant number 2.
Alaska?
You are correct.
Yeah.
Contestant number 2.
All that's left is music. In a famous Mills Brothers song, this insect is told to light up, you little old bug of lightning.
Contestant number...
The glowworm?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's correct. Contestant number 3.
Yehudi Menuhin was just 11 years old when he played this instrument at Carnegie Hall in 1927.
Contestant number 3.
Is it the violin?
You are correct.
Yeah.
Contestant number 3.
Alright.
The answer is...
Passion music tells the story of his suffering.
Contestant number 2.
Buddha?
Sorry, incorrect. Anyone else? Contestant number 3.
Jesus, yeah.
Yes, select. Contestant number 3.
This Waltz King also wrote polkas, but we've never heard him called the Polka King.
Contestant number 3.
Johann Strauss Jr.
You are correct. Contestant number 3.
Last clue before we go to Double Jeopardy. The name of the dulcimer comes from dulce melos, which means this kind of song in Latin.
Contestant number 3.
No, not love.
Sorry, incorrect. Contestant number 2. Incorrect.
I would say lament, but I don't know. Sweet. Alright. Double Jeopardy.
Now for the Double Jeopardy round, with 2 daily
Science.
doubles somewhere on the board
The
in
Middle
these
East.
categories.
Artists. Politicians. Oh Lord. Shakespeare. File under H. Each correct response will begin with that letter of the alphabet.
Good luck. Contestant number 2, we'll start with you.
We're starting with science, okay.
The answer is
Answer there. Measured in ohms, it's the R in Ohm's law, V equals IR.
contestant number 2.
Nope.
Sorry, that's incorrect. Contestant number 3.
Resistance.
You are correct. Contestant number 3.
Okay. Next in the sequence, pentagon, hexagon, heptagon.
Contestant number 1.
What is octagon?
You are correct.
Science
Contestant
600.
number 1.
In the time it takes this largest planet to go once around the sun, Earth has gone around 12 times.
Contestant number 1.
What is Jupiter?
You are correct. Contestant
Science
number 1.
800. A good electrical insulator, this yellowish resin produces a charge of static electricity when rubbed.
Contestant number 2.
Amber? Yep.
Yes. Contestant number 2.
Isaac Newton found the strength of this depends on 2 things, mass and distance.
Contestant number 1.
What is gravity?
You are correct. Contestant number 1.
Let's take Artist 200. Nicola Pisano sculpted a splendid Gothic pulpit for this city's baptistry near the Leaning Tower.
Contestant number 1.
What is Pisa?
Yes,
Leaning
that's
Tower
correct.
Pisa.
Contestant number 1. Let's take a look at the answer.
Born in 1904, this wildly eccentric Spaniard was influenced greatly by metaphysical art.
Contestant number 1.
I'm going to say who was Salvador Dali.
Yes.
Yep.
That's contestant number 1.
The Saturday Evening Post illustrator's portrait of Nixon hangs in the National Portrait Gallery.
Contestant number 1.
Who is Norman Rockwell?
Yes, that's correct. Contestant number 1.
Edward Manet preferred not to exhibit with this group, but his sister-in-law Bertha Marisot did.
Contestant number 3.
Nope.
Sorry. Contestant number 2. Sorry, that's incorrect.
Or, oops. That's funny. The Impressionists. Alright.
Contestant number 1.
Gauguin painted this friend of his painting sunflowers in 1888.
Contestant number 1.
Who is Vincent van Gogh?
You are correct. Contestant number 1.
Let's take file under H for 200. This part of a hog's hind leg that includes the hip, thigh, and knee may be cured.
Contestant number 1.
What is the hoof?
Oh, sorry.
No.
That's not right. Contestant number 3.
Nope.
Oh, sorry.
Um
That's
doesn't
not
start
right.
with an H.
Contestant number 2.
The ham?
Yes,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
correct. Contestant number 2.
Okay. This high school subject deals with day-to-day living, food and nutrition, child care, etc.
Contestant number 1.
What is home economics?
You are correct. Contestant number 1.
This kids game starts with the player throwing their puck into the number 1 section.
Contestant number
What is
1.
hopscotch?
You are correct. Contestant number 1.
Robert A. Heinlein's Stranger in a Strange Land won this award in 1962.
Contestant number.
The Hugo
Yes.
Award.
That's correct. Contestant number 2.
The only branch of this president's library is in West Branch, Iowa.
Contestant number 1.
I'm going to say who is Herbert Hoover.
Yes. That's
Okay.
correct. Contestant number 1.
The Middle East 200. After Beirut, Tarabulus is this country's largest city.
Contestant number 1.
What is Lebanon?
Yes. That's correct. Contestant number 1.
In 1988, King Hussein surrendered this country's claim to the disputed West Bank. Oh, too
Contestant
late.
number 3.
Jordan. Yep, I knew that one.
Yes. Contestant number 3.
Oh, and it cost me. That was the Daily Double.
The answer there is one of the 2 daily doubles.
Oh, he scored just 600. Okay, that'll put him at $2,000 if he gets this answer right. Let's see if I would have gotten it right. In 1952, a junta led by General Naguib disposed this country's King Farouk. Egypt.
You are
Probably
correct.
would've gotten it,
Contestant number 3.
It's okay. Abu Dhabi is the largest and most populous of the states that make up this nation.
Contestant
too
number
late.
2.
No!
Sorry, incorrect. Anyone else? Contestant number 1.
What is the United Arab Emirates? Emirates.
You are. Contestant
Yep.
number 1.
Eastern Thrace is the European portion of this nation.
Contestant number
slate.
2.
No.
I'm sorry. That's wrong. Contestant number
I'm
1.
going to say what is Turkey?
You are correct. Contestant number 1.
Shakespeare 200. This play about a Moor was inspired by a tale in Scipio's Hecatomnithy.
Contestant
I
number
can't
1.
say it. What is Othello?
You are correct. Contestant number 1.
This play inspired Robert Browning's poem Caliban upon Setebos.
Contestant number 3.
Richard III.
I'm sorry.
No.
That's wrong. Contestant number 2.
All's well that ends well.
Wrong.
No. I don't know, so I'm not buzzing in. But I am studying printing with $10,500. The play was The Tempest.
Contestant number 1.
In this comedy, Julia disguises herself as a boy to follow Proteus from Verona to Milan.
Contestant number 2. Sorry, incorrect. Anyone else?
This is in the hole.
Contestant number 3.
2 Gentlemen of Verona?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's correct. Contestant number 3.
Falstaff's last line in this comedy is, "When night dogs run, all sorts of deer are chased."
Contestant number 2.
The Merry Wives of Windsor. Yep.
You are contestant number 2.
From 1965 until he became vice president in 1973, he was the minority leader in the House.
Contestant number 3.
Gerald Ford?
You are correct.
Yep.
Contestant number 3.
Double. Oh boy.
The clue? It's the Daily Double.
And Richard is going 1,000. That'll put him at $4,000 on this clue in politicians. This Virginian is the ranking Republican on the Senate Armed Services Committee. John W.
Yes,
Warner. Yep.
that's correct. Contestant number 3.
All right. Guinness says 4 of the actors died during Sir John Gilgo's 1942 production of this bad luck play.
Contestant number 1.
I'm going to say what is Macbeth.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
that's correct. Contestant number 1.
In 1973, Lindy Boggs became the first woman elected to the House from this Bayou state.
Contestant number 1?
What is Louisiana?
Yes, that's correct. Contestant number 1?
This California governor's first elected office was state assemblyman in 1966.
Contestant number 2? You are correct.
Wilson.
Contestant
So I
number
can't
2?
be caught. In August 1982, the Secretary of State resigned to run President Bush's re-election campaign.
Contestant number 2?
James A. Baker.
You are correct. The final Jeopardy category is
Assassinations.
contestant number 1.
300 only.
What would you like to wager?
I don't know too much, so I'm gonna.
The final Jeopardy clue is
So here we go. On February 21st, 1965, he was killed in the Audubon Ballroom in New York City. I will just say who is Robert Kennedy, but I really don't know.
contestant number 2. Your final Jeopardy response was correct. Let's see what
Alton
contestant
X.
number 2 wagered.
I did not know, but that's okay. I still end up with $11,400.
Your total? Contestant number 3. Your
I had
final
no
Jeopardy
idea.
response was yes. That's correct. Let's see what contestant number 3 wagered.
It's all good. It's all good.
Your total? Contestant number 1. Your final Jeopardy response was sorry. That's incorrect. Let's see what contestant number 1 wagered.
Well, I end up with $11,400, so I'm still the winner.
Your total? Contestant number 1, you are now the reigning Jeopardy champion. Congratulations.
Thanks. See you all for the next segment, everybody.